Alright, and welcome back to Comic Book Wednesdays, a weekly series where we talk about comic books. We're your hosts. I'm Ian.
I'm Al.
And I'm Shane.
And we are back to you with our final run with the Thrawn trilogy, the last 3 issues of Star Wars The Last Command. Well, I'm going to push it over to our resident Star Wars genius, or expert, that's the word.
I wouldn't go that far, but
Tell us, you like?
I like it was good. Like we talked about before, there's unfortunately not enough depth that comes with the comic books that you get in the novels, but I enjoyed their interpretation of it. I wish we would have gotten a little bit more of the reprieve from the Empire, or the Emperor, with Mara after she, kills Dark Luke.
You mean Luke Skywalker? Because that's how
Yeah.
yeah.
But that was really my only criticism of the issue, was that they really didn't go into depth with that.
Well, I feel like the biggest part of this book is her redemption arc.
Yeah, it is, but from remembering it from the novel, it was like there was a whole lot more that went into that than what we got out of the page and a half of, her final reprieve from it, and not feeling the Emperor talk through the Force to her, and all that.
Absolutely, no, I absolutely 100% agree with you, and it's something we've been talking about this whole time when comparing the graphic novel to the actual novelization. You just don't get the same level of detail because you don't hear the characters' internal thoughts. You can't see what they're thinking or the feelings that they're feeling. And another big example of that is the whole when Sabath takes over one of the Imperial workers at Mount Tantus. You feel this man withering away, his mind being crushed by Sabath in the books. It was quite descriptive, and you see it happen in this, but you don't get the level of sinisterness that the process is of taking over someone's mind. And I felt like Timothy Zahn did a really good job of showing how sinister the whole act is of invading someone's mind like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, these 3 issues, I do enjoy the story that we're having here. They finally figure out Delta Source. You see the Mount Tantus, the reveal of Luke, the Luke clone, which is pretty awesome. One thing I don't like is I don't like the death of Grand Admiral. Why am I slipping on his name? Thrawn. I wanted to call him Tarkin, but I knew that wasn't right.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, his death kind of sucks, in my opinion. But
in the story or just in the comic?
In general, just the way he dies in Zahn's novelization just kind of stinks.
I think it ended him pretty fucking well, actually, in my opinion.
Why do you say so? Because maybe I'm just not grasping it.
From the perspective of the Nuragi and how much the Empire had fucked with them, and they finally got their revenge on the Empire, and I think it was just right in my opinion. But
in that aspect, I agree with you. However, I felt like he could have gone out in more of a blaze of glory. I don't know. He's this brilliant tactician, and he just gets stabbed in his chair.
He couldn't see it coming in front of his face. As smart as he is, and as tactical as he is, he overthought it and couldn't see it coming.
Yeah. No, it is fair. I'm just still coming to grips with it because I didn't like it when I read it in the book either.
Okay.
What about you, Shane? How are you feeling?
To be honest, I can definitely. So, kind of half and half. There was definitely parts where I could tell that because it's in a graphic novel comic format, that they skipped out on some detail. But there were also moments, especially in the third issue. The third issue was my favorite, where it did it like poetic justice with all of the visuals that they were putting into the comic that really amplified the story. And I really did enjoy that. So for me, like a couple of the examples was let me skip ahead a little bit because I know we'll get to this eventually, but this one just sticks out in my mind.
Sure.
So when Han is saying to Mara Jade, and he's just like, what is this place? And she's like, it's the place. It's the place. Come and see. And you see that like, where they're standing and like all those rolls of things and like that tube going all the way down and like
Yeah.
It really reminded me of where Luke and Vader were on Cloud City when Luke lost his arm.
I get
like
that.
that parallel was coming out to me, and I was like, oh well, if she's destined to kill Luke, and there's this, the evil Jedi Master is there as well, who's like there to like try and convince them to join to the dark side. It's drawing on the visual representations of everything that we've already seen, and then just amplifying it, trying to make it its own. So I thought that was really cool.
I like that. And I was catching on other parallels. I mean, like just in general, like Return of the Jedi ends with them on like a storming an Imperial shield generator on a forest moon, and this planet is forest, and they're storming the facility of Mount Tantus. So there's some kind of parallels with that, like physically, it's like how they actually go through the last act of this book versus the last act of Return of the Jedi. So that's kind of cool.
There was some interesting graphics, I thought, in this one versus the last couple. Like there was a cube where Han was laying down shooting at somebody and the blaster bolt was coming off the pages, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And interesting, but
I always like that in comic books where like
we hadn't really seen that in any of the other chapters or anything.
No. Where like the actual blocks, the squares of the comic panels, if you will, are not limiting the art on the page, and I think that's neat. It's almost like a fourth wall breaking type thing.
Yeah.
Trying to think of like other parts of. Oh, sorry, Shane. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I did with Thrawn's death. I did save that because I really did, as one of my notes, because I really did think his line of him being like, "Yes, but it was like poetic," or like we planned it so well, whatever however he phrased it, I thought that was really good.
Like artistic. I think
it's artistic. That's what it was. Thank you.
Yeah, and you notice his whole deal with art. He loves his art.
Yeah, no, his like last like moments there. Although one of the things I did think was kind of interesting was the self-fulfilling prophecy with Mara Jade, because you could constantly hear, and I really did enjoy her interactions with Luke throughout all three books. Like you could constantly hear the Emperor saying, "Kill Luke Skywalker," and so she finally decided to ask him, like, "Okay, well, what happened?" And he was like, when you killed the Emperor," and he was like, "What? No, that's not what happened. I didn't kill him. I couldn't. I was physically incapable of doing that. I was just there, trying to talk to my dad. I didn't give a shit about him."
Right.
And she was just kind of like, "What?
Lies."
Yeah, lies. Like, why are you lying to me? And he's like, "Oh, I'm not. Why would I?"
Right. What do I gain from lying to you about this?
But in the end, she kind of still fulfilled her own prophecy because she did kill a Luke Skywalker.
Luke Skywalker.
Luke.
He has 2 U's in his name for those who don't know. Yeah. And then it's something I talked to Shane about earlier. It's like one of the reasons why I hate it in the first comic, the first set of books that we read for Star Wars, the Heir of the Empire books, where Luke had his blue lightsaber, made 0 sense because they literally capture Luke's lightsaber in his hand to create the clone Luke, and the clone Luke uses that at the end of the books. So it's like, come on. Not only
you guys could have done a little bit better than that.
Yeah, you could have finished the book. You could have finished reading the books before you made the graphic novel.
I'm gonna make a comparison here to Disney, and hear me out. I know what happens when I say that.
Yeah, you're gonna upset Al.
Yeah,
no,
you
I actually
consider your next couple of words very carefully.
I am, because I think you're going to agree with me. When, at the end of this book, when he goes and he hands Mara Jade his lightsaber, and she's like, "Why are you giving me this?" And his reasoning was more or less just, well, I want you to have it. You need one. You don't have one. Like, he just treated it like an object. It wasn't some, like, sacred thing. It was just, I want you to protect yourself. You clearly are strong with the Force. I want you to grow better as a person. Like, it wasn't this massively sacred object.
Right.
The comparison that I was going to make with Disney is that Disney's movies have treated his lightsaber as like some sacred holy totem, and for the life of me I could never fucking figure out why. And I just don't think Luke as a genuine character sees it like that. I think he just sees it as a tool.
No,
I like that representation in the comic.
I'd agree with that.
But to play devil's advocate, I feel like they kept that aspect of Luke true, because what's the first thing Luke does when he gets the lightsaber from Rey? He throws it off a cliff. He eats it. He doesn't fucking care about that thing. But I get what you're saying. Now, I'm going to trigger Alex. I want you to...
Why do you gotta do that? Why do you insist?
Shane...
Fuck you, motherfucker.
Well, it might not actually trigger you. Shane, I want you to rank this trilogy among the other Star Wars that you know.
Okay, let me go through a list just so I can, I'm going to put myself out of combat so I can actually answer your question thoroughly. Give me a sec.
That's fair.
Okay, so let me... this is going to have to be a multi-part answer from me. So, my favorite Star Wars movies of all time is Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, buddy.
Like, I thought the visuals were awesome, the battle on Hoth, like the Luke and Vader communicating with the Force. I fucking love that movie.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah. Immediately after that, see, the history part of me wants to put this in, chronological order and wants to add this, but, in terms of my favorite after that, God. It's going to have to be the Clone Wars, the TV series.
Okay, so Empire, Clone Wars.
Empire, Clone Wars, then this. Then Revenge of the Sith. And then we get into, some of the other shows. This is, probably my top 3.
That's fair. Okay, so you're not triggered. I wasn't sure exactly what he was going to say.
I'm okay with that answer. I've always been partial to the first movie. That was You know, and I'm talking about 4, not
We know.
yeah. So that was always my, you know, like go-to when I was sick as a kid or, you know, whatever. Like, but so that one I was always more partial to than Empire, but I get why people say Empire is the best. Um, and then I'm actually okay with you being going Clone Wars and I forget what the second one you said was.
Then this.
Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, then Revenge of the Sith.
Um,
I'll be honest, I don't think the prequel movies or the story in the prequels are as good if Clone Wars doesn't exist. Like,
That's why I organized it the way I did, because, like, you know, Attack of the Clones was okay, but I really enjoyed Revenge of the Sith a lot more.
yeah.
And then with
fair.
the Clone Wars, it made me appreciate it more.
right.
Yeah,
That's fair.
Me personally, top 3 Star Wars content has to be Empire. I would say then Rebels, and then this Thrawn trilogy. Like, I love this Thrawn trilogy. I don't love the graphic novel in the slightest. Like, it's fine.
No.
It exists, but those books, man. Like, eventually, I'm going to buy them for my collection because I want them. They are fantastic books.
When I get my 12 Audible credits in January, I'm going to try and get that on Audible if I can find it.
You should be. It's on there.
Oh yeah, it's definitely on there.
It has to be. Like, it's one of the biggest. It's probably one of the best Star Wars books of all time. But yeah, I mean, as far as like, where does this trilogy land for you, Al?
See, there's so much that I have to you know, really dig through.
Well, if you can just put it in with the main stuff that we know, and not a lot of the legends that we're not familiar with as of right now, would you be able to? Would that make it easier for you?
I would probably put this very high on the list of my favorite stuff that you guys would know. You know, like I said, New Hope is you know, the best of the Star Wars movies for me.
It's fantastic. I agree.
That being said, you know, like, there's a lot. For me, you know, the Jedi Knight trilogy is, you know, probably the best Star Wars you can get, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Without it being about the Skywalker family. You know what I mean? But there's so many characters that I prefer than your classic characters now. You know, so it's hard for me to pick anything from the stuff that you guys know because there's so much more that I want. You know what I mean? Like, later down the road, I mean, Mara's character develops so much. You know, Jaina's character, Jason's character, they all develop so much more than what, you know, you've gotten anywhere. It's just like, it's hard for me to say, yeah, it's in the top things when there's so much more that I'm like, oh, I wish you guys read this stuff so I could talk to you about it. You know what I mean?
That's absolutely fair. Well, let me ask you this then. Could you, not right here on the spot, but could you put together maybe a list of 10 projects in order that you would want me and Shane to check out? And then maybe we would be able to jump into that eventually. Like, if you could just text them to us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I could give you a handful right now. You know, like, so any of the Rogue Squadron. Well, that's a whole series, the Rogue Squadron, or the X-Wing series, fantastic. The Carillion series, fantastic. Yeah, and I really don't know much Old Republic stuff, but like there's so much Galactic Empire era that's phenomenal. I mean, there's a lot of bad too. Don't get me wrong, but you know, like Twilight Princess is probably one of the worst books I've ever read.
This is
Or not Twilight Princess. Sorry, no, I know. I was thinking of Courtship of Princess Leia. I don't know where I got Twilight Princess from, but
Maybe they did it
one of the worst Star Wars books I've ever read.
Is it because it's not your cup of tea, or is it just really bad?
No, it's pretty much hated amongst all Star Wars Legend guys.
That's fair.
It's just not a great book. But yeah, I mean, I could definitely put a list of stuff together for you guys.
Yeah,
Definitely.
please and thank you.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I mean, let's. We're kind of rambling. We're off the book now. Any final thoughts from the two of you before we wrap up Star Wars for a little?
I'm always ready for more.
Let me check my notes real quick, see if there's anything I didn't get to.
Say that again, Shane. I missed that.
Oh, you're good. I was just checking my notes to see if there was anything I missed that we didn't get the chance to get to.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, we jumped all over the place, so I'm sure there's stuff that we didn't talk about.
Actually, Alex, I have a question for you. In the second book, when Leia's holding up her kids on Coruscant, and there's like the ray of sun, I can send you the picture if you don't have a reference. Is that a photo of like...
Yes.
It almost looks like Padme in the background.
It does. It was like stained glass.
Yeah, I'm not sure that is, but it looks like it to me as well.
I don't think did these books come out before Natalie Portman was Padme though? Like
that I don't.
Because
have
that
an answer
likeness
to.
is pretty.
yeah,
damn
it's
good.
It's on spot. It's of course now it's not in front of me because there's air. Go to the library.
I have it pulled up if you need me to send it real quick.
I just want to see it. 97 to 98. So yes, well before Natalie Portman was casted as Padme.
But a pretty good likeness.
Yeah, did a really good job. Unless like George Lucas was always like, I kind of want this lady to do it.
I have to wonder if there was like some fans on the like casting board that when she came in for the audition, they were like, no, it's her. We don't need to see anybody else.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Is that everything, gentlemen?
I think so.
Yeah, that was honestly the only question I had. This book did a really great job of like keeping everything kind of together for me, so I enjoyed that.
Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, these three were probably the best out of the whole series, in my opinion, but...
Well, the way this book ends is so good. It's action-packed. You get all your answers to all your questions real neatly. Like, they do a good job with all of it. And I love the way it ends with Mara Jade's basically her redemption story. Like, she becomes, for lack of a better word, a good guy, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, he even asked her, like, how do you feel? And she's just like, oh, kind of like I'm at home almost without being there, or something like that. And it's a great way to put it, because I really felt in that moment that she still accomplished what the Ghost of the Emperor wanted her to do.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
It's like, in a way, it all worked out for her completely fine.
She's perfect. Yeah. I would definitely have to check out some more Mara Jade stuff. She's a fantastic character.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really cool.
All right, well, I think that's it for Star Wars. So next week we'll be starting my pick of Superior Spider-Man.
Woo-woo!
All right.
get some Spider-Man going on. Again, thanks everybody for listening. This was Comic Book Wednesdays, and we're your hosts. I'm Ian.
I'm Al.
And I'm Shane.
Good night.
See you later.
Good night.